working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for you is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for you.
Good afternoon. A pleasant welcome to one and all. Welcome to another edition of Working for You, which is a St. Kitts Nevis Information Service production, and it comes to you every Wednesday. It airs on ZIZ, Win FM, and Sugar City Rock from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. You can also watch it live on Facebook. Yes, we stream live on Facebook. If you log into your Facebook account, you can go and look for SKNIS. That's SKNIS Media, and you can see everything happening in real time. So, having said that, my name is Jacqueline Bryan. I'm sitting in for Mr. Roy Williams, who's on vacation. The words across the banner on the logo of the Advanced Vocational Education Center, or AVEC, reads, "Develop a skill, build a career." With this being the institution's mantra over the years, AVEC has been an important player in the delivery of technical and vocational education and training, also referred to as TVET, in the Federation. Today we are going to find out how its role in this area will become even more instrumental with the planned changes to how TVET is administered. My special guests today are, and I'm pleased to introduce you to, Mr. Clyde Christopher, who's the director at AVEC, and he's joined by Tracy Matthew, who's a counselor there. They have been serving AVEC for a number of years, and they are here to discuss what programs are offered at AVEC and how someone interested can enroll, as well as go on to address some of the myth that still exists about the institution, and to tell us about how AVEC will play a greater role in the changes they plan to make where TVET is concerned. So, a pleasant good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
I don't know if it's your first time here, but I'm happy to have you. I believe a good starting point for this conversation is the story behind AVEC. So, tell us how AVEC came about.
All right, thank you, Jacqueline. And to all of you out there, we are indeed happy for this privilege to be able to interact with you. AVEC, as the acronym would indicate, evolved from what we knew as the multipurpose center, multipurpose workshop years ago. Actually in 1999 is when AVEC came into being, and it came about as a response to the Ministry of Education's desire to find a solution to what we call those individuals who would have dropped through the cracks, living fourth form, doesn't have anything, no certification, nothing to do, just out there island. So AVEC was created to try to respond to that initially, right? And over the years it has evolved. The programs have been changing, have been increasing. The intake, the level of the intake, quality of the intake has been getting better over the years. So there is a constant movement right now with respect to the institution. But what we realize is that there has always been the belief, and maybe rightly so because of why it was set up, that it's just a place for dropouts. People who can't do anything better go to AVEC. And we've had cases where parents actually, and some teachers will actually tell people that you're going to end up at AVEC, you can't do anything better, and that kind of thing. And our role there at AVEC becomes a challenging one because we have to try and break all that kind of mindset.
So having said that, and now that we have a better understanding of how AVEC came about, we can go straight into the misconceptions and talk about what AVEC is not.
Well, I could start off by indicating it is not a place for dropouts, right? Actually, it's an institution that offers you an opportunity to develop a skill and, as the mentor said, begin a career, right? And that goes for whether school leavers, persons of school leaving age, or anybody within the community. The reality is AVEC is an adult institution. It is not a secondary school, it's not a primary school, it's an adult institution. You have to be 16 years or older in order to gain access to the institution. So we are set up to offer training in a range of skills so that people can enhance their marketability, if I might put it like that. Because one of the things that we are finding now that the persons who have come through our program at AVEC, they are actually quite marketable now. Because what? The program that we deliver at AVEC gives you a more hands-on approach. And this is exactly what employers are looking for. Persons who can do. So AVEC programs are set up, are geared towards making sure that when you do leave the institution, you are in a position to say you are competent, you can do the work, right? And we have interacted with our employers, our colleagues, our friends here, and they have always supported the programs that we are doing. That this is really a place of what you call a visionary approach to responding to the cry for developed skills within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have been plagued with the introduction of a lot of non-nationals coming in who have to fill skill spots. I'm saying that AVEC is so set up, and along with the TechVoc at CFBase is so set up that what happened, we are trying to respond to the needs of the employers out there, right? And if persons come to the program, stick to the program, do what is required, I am certain that they can leave with a certification that is of some value and which the employers will be proud to accept, and therefore they are we call valuable assets to any institution.
I often explain to the students when they get this that education is in different parts. There's an academic side to education, there's a technical side to education, and there's a vocational side to education. It just depends on what it is that you want. If you know you love the books, you take the academic side. If it is that, okay, you can deal with half the books and half the actual skill part, you take the technical side. If you know that you don't like the books that much, then you take the vocational side, which has to do with a lot of hands-on experience. So it's geared towards a skill to a specific job or a specific career, as opposed to being general. And that's the difference, and I think that's where we need to educate the public on what it is to be a vocational school.
Well, different people are inclined in different ways.
Yes.
I can't imagine a world in which we were all really good at the same things, because it requires a host of different skills and talents for the world to even operate properly. They're demanded on a daily basis. So that's something that's very important. So maybe you can tell us or share with our listeners, like you shared with me in our discussion prior to the program, what your vision was and where AVEC is today.
All right, thank you, Jackie. When I took hold of the reins of the institution, and excuse me if I don't remember the exact number of years, quite a few years ago, my vision was threefold. One, I needed to change the appearance of the institution, how people viewed it, what they saw physically. The second thing was to ensure that the institution was adequately equipped with all of the requisite equipment to run the program. And the third portion of the vision was to ensure that the programs and the systems are now in sync with what we want, and we are at phase 3 right now. Right. We have done the physical upgrade, we have enhanced the availability of the equipment, and we're now working on the the systems and the program delivery to enhance that aspect of it. Right. The thing is that all of this took some time, and we were at pains really to get the public to appreciate what we're doing. We had comments like, why are you spending all this money on a place where it's just for dropouts? Why are you trying to change up this for? You figure it's better than the school or what? And I said, look, but I'm always of the view that if you change the environment to some degree, you change people's perception of even they being there. And over the years, we have found out that because of the change even in the physical environment, folks respond differently. They want to come to the place for training and whatnot. So yes, the physical change was part of the vision. The equipment, we are one of the better equipped technical vocational institutions on the island, within the federation actually. Not to be boastful, but if not the best, right? But it is what it is, right? I know my colleagues at CFBC will just smile and welcome me, but it is what it is, right? We are now in a position where we can offer training of a pretty good level now, because we now have access to the required equipment, right? Our flagship area right now is the automotive shop over at AVEC, equipped better than quite a number of the shops out in the public, right? Actually, they have come in and expressed how impressed they are, right? And we are working along with them, because one of the things we wanted to do was to ensure that we can train our guys to fit into their requirements. If you deal with Toyota, Nissan, whatever, we train them on those specific things so that there's always a slot for them to fit into. So there's always a need for that kind of thing. And we continue to do what we can to upgrade and to innovate and to get the best response out of all of that possible. But that was the vision, threefold, and we, like I said, we're at phase 3 right now, or the third part of the vision, where we're looking right now at how we can enhance the program, deliver the program, how we can make the program more user-friendly, if I might use it like that. Because yes, we run a 2-year program, true, at AVEC, and that is because we have tried to stretch this thing out for 2 years. But that has been one of the things that has been a negative for us, meaning because of the length of the program, we lose a lot of folks. So we are trying to find ways now how we can tighten up on that, so that the program becomes a bit more focused. People will settle in, do that, and move out. I believe we will end up with a higher retention rate, right, if we tighten up on that. So we're looking at all of those systems right now, because like I said, it's work in progress.
Yes,
right.
Of course. I've not had a tour of AVEC,
Okay.
but I know from the outside, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And you have an open day that you host. I know you've hosted an open day. I don't know if it's annual. Is it?
That was the intention, right? To try to do an annual open day, right? So and the last one we did
It's in March.
Was after a lapse of a couple of years. We haven't done it since then, and it was quite an eye opener for us, right? Because we use new approaches and all that kind of thing, and it showcased what AVEC
Yes,
was
and it might
offering.
help to assist
Yes.
with addressing some of those
Yes,
misconceptions.
right.
So I just wanted to make reference to that. Confirm you're having one next year, and then encourage our listeners and viewers on Facebook to listen out for that next year.
Certainly.
So if you hear about it, you definitely want to take the opportunity to go and visit AVEC. So we're talking about it and what they offer. It's going to be important to also go and see for yourself. I've passed along that road, and when I look into the very same area you're talking about, it looks like a really nice garage,
Yeah.
outfitted very well.
They don't have to wait until next year to come.
They don't?
No, they can always show up. We have a cosmetology department there that do regular services on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or by appointments if it is that they want, because this trainees really need live models in order to perfect their craft.
Is that so?
Yeah.
The automotive department is open to, in terms of you can come and get service done and that sort of stuff. So you can drop in at any time.
Oh, well, that sounds like you were talking specifically to me in those two areas, you understand? So I might have to, I too might have to come back up there for something other than talking with the two of you, yes?
No problem.
So tell us now about the courses offered at AVEC. And tell us a little bit about the faculty. You've told us about the facilities, the compound. We'd like to hear about your faculty as well.
The instructing staff at AVEC basically is a mix of quote-unquote teachers and persons who we would have been able to attract from industry. Right. Generally, the teachers at AVEC are all certified, qualified, degreed individuals. Right. Just in one or two cases where we are we're working on. Right. There are persons who would have been instructing in these vocational areas now for quite a long time, so we know they are well experienced. We have about 2 persons that we might have been able to pull from industry, right? I know I could say one, the electrical instructor actually came out of industry, and therefore he was able to bring that level of experience to an arena where he can impart that onto persons who are in his specific area. And this is what we need, because we need a kind of mix between what education has to offer and what industry has to offer. It has to be a partnership, right? The Ministry of Education always endeavor to ensure that, listen, whoever is placed at AVEC, whoever has been assigned there, that they're up to par in terms of qualification, they are competent in the area that they are being assigned to, that kind of thing. So I know the Ministry of Education does its part, right? But we're also looking at the possibility of getting more industry partners to come in to help deliver the program. And so, like I said, work in progress. We have more discussions to take place. I have been in some discussions with a number of employers to try to see if I can get some, what you call, time off from the supervisor or whatever to come over and do some instruction. But beyond that, you find that the staff, for most part, they are a competent bunch of individuals. All of the teaching staff are experts in their own right, in their specific field, and they are tasked with delivering to the best of their ability whatever program they have been assigned to, basically.
Okay, we offer a number of courses at AVEC. We have the hospitality department that they do course in food preparation. There is the electronic or electrical department. There's general construction. Then we have the cosmetology, metalwork, metal fabrication, the auto mechanics. Then we have computer and business studies. I think I got
Graphic design
is offered.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's quite a number of areas.
Yes.
Now, the labor market is said to exist in a VUCA environment. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before. It's VUCA, and it's an acronym. It stands for Volatile, Uncertain, Complex, and Ambiguous Environment. So some skills that were very relevant 5 to 10 years ago have found that they've declined, recently, or some of them have even become obsolete. They don't exist anymore as the technology changes. So how does AVEC try to ensure that its offerings remain relevant and stays in line with the change in times and the change in technology and the change in demands?
As far as possible, we try to ensure that the programs that we deliver at AVEC are what the country needs. I liaise, at least I know I make it my business to liaise with the labor department. What are the needs out there? What are the industry? What are they asking for? Right. I liaise quite often with a number of the employers who we work with over the years. What are the specific things you're looking for? Right. So what we find is that years ago, there were a number of programs which AVEC might have started over, which we no longer do, because just like you said, our interaction with the employers tell us that we don't want those things anymore. So
the employment landscape changes.
So why train in things that are no longer relevant? So we try as far as possible to keep our ear, so to speak, to the ground. Right. Now, there ought to be a more scientific way to do it. Right. That we're working on. But we are using whatever resources available to us right now to get the information so that we can make sure that we train for purpose. Training must never be in isolation, right? So we are right. The programs that we have listed right now, they are what we have been informed are required right now. Yes, there are a lot of other areas which are needed.
Like the plumbing.
Right, but over time we get into them because we have to make allocation for resources, space, and make sure the requisite staff is that kind of thing. So over time we will add, but for the time being, the areas that have been mentioned are the ones that we have been informed what is needed.
And I think it's important to note that all institutions are constantly adjusting their programs, trying to reinvent themselves, trying to upgrade. Even the University of the West Indies, while I was there, would make certain changes to the curricula. They would also introduce new programs. They might say, we're going to join these two together. And having been established only in 1999, and I say only in 1999 because
Still young.
you're still very young. You're junior compared to some other institutions. It is going to be a work in progress.
Yes.
So we spoke about the courses, we spoke about the compound and the offerings. What are the requirements if someone wanted to enroll? How do you go about enrolling?
We can boast to say that we have 100% acceptance rate at AVEC in terms of, because you really don't have to have any terms of subjects to say to enter AVEC. You come, yes, we would ask for you to bring your transcript from a school, but it doesn't say that we are not accepting you. So you can come with 12, you can come with 0. We are still going to accept you into AVEC.
And when you say that, I want to just add to that because, I don't want anything to be taken out of context.
Yes.
When you say that you have 100% acceptance rate, in the booklet that I was given, they do offer as core subjects English and mathematics, as well as information technology. Yes. And entrepreneurship. So I think that's important to note that they also will ensure or try to ensure that
you get the basics.
You get the basics, and we know English and mathematics are a definite must.
Right.
What are the expectations of persons who enroll?
We basically expect that you view this as an opportunity to get what you couldn't have gotten before. Right. I don't like to use the term that it's a second chance.
It's one of the options.
Yeah, I always say that, listen, here is an opportunity for you to become marketable, to develop a skill. Right? You might want to be a second chance. That's up to you, no problem. But I am always of the view that, listen, people must see AVEC, that, listen, but when I do leave here, I am more marketable. I can more easily integrate into the world of work because I have some hands-on competence. I know what to do and I know how to do it, right? So these are the expectations that we have. Now, what is paramount over all of that is that at AVEC we try to ensure that the persons leave with an attitude change, because if we can get them to change their attitude or to develop the right kind of attitude, they are more of a valuable asset to any employer, to any industry, any business, than if they just have all the skills. The right attitude is what works. And it is said that if you have the right attitude, it ultimately determines how high you go and how far you reach. Right? So we are strong on making sure that the persons who come to our program and they do graduate, whatever, they leave better, a better person than they came in, better individual, well-rounded, right? But so that when the employer grabs them, they can say, hey, we do have somebody here of work. And we've gotten excellent reviews from some of the employers, yes.
And I think what you just said will take me now to, I scribbled in the book you gave me. I'm sorry, but there was something you said in your message, the message from the director for the handbook you gave me, and I quote, Accordingly, much attention is paid to oral and written communication skills, teamwork and leadership, analytic and critical thinking, computer and numeric literacy, professionalism on the job, and life skills, among others. And I made a note here that I wanted to ask. I mean, I can assume, but I wanted to hear from you. These are called transferable skills or soft skills. Why would a technical and vocational education institution focus also on such skills? But I think you kind of made reference to that.
Yeah, because it's part of being marketable. We questioned an employer some years ago, and we threw out this to him. What if you had an applicant, somebody applying, and they had 10 subjects? And then you had another one applying, but had no subject, but they had a nice attitude. Which would you accept? Because the person of the 10 subject, they're supposed to know, basically. Without fail, he indicated, listen, I will take the one who has the right attitude, because what? They're trainable. I can work with them, because they come with those soft things that are needed. Employers right now are asking for a lot of that, because we have a lot of persons out there who are qualified on paper. In terms of the certification, I can pass 1 million CXC, that's fine. But they can't speak properly, they can't interact, they can't deliver themselves. And AVEC is about, let's ensure that you also know. That's why the communication skill side of it. Because what we have done, we are following what we call the standards and the curriculum from the Caribbean Vocational Qualification, the CVQ, right? Embedded in that curriculum are all of the requirements to gain certification, meaning you must be able to speak, you must be able to write a report of an incident that happened, whatever. You basically must be able to interact with the customer. How do you treat in the business area? How do you answer the phone? What do you say? And that kind of thing. So all of the required things. And Miss Wattley, who deals with the life skill component of that kind of thing, just tries to press it in and emphasize that, listen, you've got to learn. One of the things that is key that a lot of people don't even know as yet, that they've got to learn how to get along with others as part of the requirement.
We just think that the soft skills are things that you are born with or something like that, but that's not the case. Some really got to teach it that, these are what are important. It's, yes, the skill, but how you behave on the job site, how you behave, how you communicate with others really mean a lot also. And not even so much on the job site, but also when it is that I would really like when you finish with AVEC that you're telling me now you own your own business.
Right.
So you also have to know how you would have to communicate with your customers and that type of stuff. So that's what AVEC is. All that AVEC entails. It's not just come and just do the skill, but come and learn how to function in the work environment.
So tell us about how you measure success then at the institution.
It will hinge a lot on a few things that I would have said before, along the line that when you would have completed our training program, and let me give you this example. An aspect of their training at AVEC is that they have to engage in an internship, a month. We send them out in their second year, send them out for a month. Our thinking is, if when you are on the job site and you can perform at a level or to a level that the employer is satisfied with you and they feel comfortable with you, you basically would have been successful. Because we're not training you basically just for you only, but we're training you so that you can satisfy the requirement. You are training in such a manner you have satisfied the requirement where the employers want to, and they've called back, can we hire this person right now? So say, but they have to complete their program. Yeah, but we want them now. And we have over the years worked out strategies where if they offer you the job, grab it. we will work along with you to complete
complete,
whatever is outstanding.
That is fantastic.
Because
That's
you
the end
delay,
result
yeah,
for us.
at the end of the day, people want to know that they're gainfully employed, and if we have trained persons so that they have met that requirement, and the folks want to grab them, hey, more power to them. Let them hold on to the job, but we will work along with them to assist them in completing anything that is outstanding. Because you might delay and say, well, let me finish my stuff, and then somebody's got a job.
Yes.
You're out of a thing. Employment is important.
And you've had that happen?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You say yes confidently, like it
Yes.
happens all the time.
Well, we're very optimistic. It
Yes.
has been happening.
Oh,
right?
that's
Yes. So,
As far
fantastic.
as March, May,
Yeah.
we had one student who was offered the job right away.
Mhm.
So we had to see where we could have accommodated in terms of her finishing and still complete, holding on to the job.
yeah.
I think that's fantastic because that little success story says
Yeah,
a lot about
yeah.
the institution. Do you find it's difficult getting internships for your students?
No. The rapport and the relationship between AVEC and our employers or those persons whom we work with, we have an extremely good working relationship, and they will always accede to our requests to host our trainees. We know we also send out our trainees around the same time that CFBC does. So we know the challenge is great. But for the most part, employers have worked with us, and they have always expressed their willingness to continue to work. So we have a very good thing going there in that context.
At this stage, I'd like to inform our listeners and our viewers on Facebook that the phone lines are open. If you have a question or comment or a suggestion, or maybe you'd like to call and ask to make an appointment for when you can have a walkthrough of AVEC, you can dial one of two numbers. We have an overseas line here, and it's 718-577-2918. I'll repeat, that overseas line is 718-577-2918. If you're calling locally in the Federation or the region, the number is 465-2555. Area code 869. That number again is 465-2555. That's 2555. Maybe you are interested in AVEC and you have a question, you can call to ask about that. Or maybe if you have a particular program in mind you think they should offer, you can call and make that suggestion as well. And we're going to use this opportunity to go straight into some of the challenges and the constraints that you have to tackle. I know you spoke to the length of the program and you're looking into shortening that, but what are some of the other challenges?
One of the challenges that we find that we are having is very hard in terms of when the trainees come, their self-esteem are very low. And that will stem from what you talk about in the beginning in terms of the stigma that would have been placed on AVEC is a place where dropout go. If you fail high school, you go to AVEC. And then the truth and the fact is most of these students who came from the bottom streams of their school, so they really come with self-esteem issues. And we spend a lot of time working on their self-esteem issues before they can gain the confidence that they can, I'm here now, let me use this opportunity to really succeed at something. I'll give an example of what would happen to them in terms of they have on their uniform. Everybody knows that the uniform for AVEC is grey and white with the vest. And they will, simple thing as walking down the road and somebody will shout out at them and say, if you had gone to school and learned your lesson, you would not have to put on the grey and white. And constantly just walking to and forth from schools, people would say slight things about them because of that. So one of the things that we're in the process of doing is really, let's get rid of the uniform. Let's try as much as possible. And so we're going to dress industrial wise. So when you see them, you should be asking them, where are they working as opposed to what school are they going to? So that's one of the things that we are trying to do in terms of trying as best as possible to get rid of the stigma behind coming to AVEC.
Like you rightly said, AVEC is an option.
Yes.
When you're
Yes.
done with high school, you have options. You can go to Secretarial College, you can go to CFB, and even CFB has options. It just depends on what you want to do and where you think gives you the best option to do it.
Exactly.
So if I want to be a cook or if I want to be a technician, who do I think can give me the best
Right.
training? And it
Right.
very well might be. It might be. I'm not showing favoritism, but it very well might be. But AVEC, once you look at all the things they offer, any other challenges
Right,
you'd like
so
to talk about?
that was the one with respect to their self-esteem issue. The other challenge we are faced with is this. Yes, AVEC is an option, but for most person, it is never a first option.
Yes.
It is always or generally viewed as, well, when all else has failed, let me try AVEC. And hence, this is one of the reasons why over the years we tend to start our programs late in September. Or what I'm going to say it like it is actually. We really decide, let's wait until folks have attempted to get into CFBC. And when they can't, they will come to us. No, we want to change all of that. We want to make it a prominent enough option so that, hey, as you said, I want to go to AVEC so that I can gain this, or I want to go to CFBC, right? And it's not that we don't want to run competition. It's not competition. We just want to be able to offer, because we're offering our program at basically level 1, eventually going up to level 2. CFBC really should be at level 3 going up. Right. So this is why I tell you, there really should be no competition. Right. But for the most part, people enjoy themselves in the blue and white, as opposed to the gray and white.
Gray and white.
Right. So
It might very well be
they
because
walk
of
to
the
town in
stigma.
the blue
Yes,
and white,
yeah.
but they'll take off the grey and white to go down into town.
Right. It's like that. So as Ms. Wattley said, we're shifting to making sure that they are clad industry-wide. Right. Folks who in the business studies department will attire themselves as you look at, like in an office. How you dress, that fantastic, that's fine. Those in cosmetology, they're going to be in scrubs and whatnot. Those in hospitality in black and white, because that's what the industry requires, and that kind of thing. And then we're looking at automotive and general construction, what else we can bring in from the industry, because we want to reflect. AVEC must be seen as basically a training ground for the real world out there. It must not be looked at like just a school. It has to be a training ground for the real world. So, and in some very strong way, that's how we operate over there. We treat them as if they're actually on the job. I tell the trainees often, you don't perform, you mess around, that you don't do what is required, I fire you.
Yes, we get
It
fired.
is what is required. Right? And it's that approach we use, and it is working because people are viewing themselves that we're not in any, it's not any little school, any Pambinambi institution. You really have to perform. Otherwise, you get thrown out. That's just the bottom line.
You get dismissed.
Yeah.
What about the attitude of employers and similar institutions?
Similar institution, from what we know, national scale, and what was Project Strong, CFBC, which is TechVoc. The institution view AVEC basically as what you call a support base for even what they're doing, because CFBC have been able to feed off of persons who have come to AVEC program. And for the reasons, what we have done over the years is that if you still intend to go to CFBC to take it at a higher level, you can come to our program, do the training, get certification, and because you have gained the certification at AVEC, you will be accepted into the TechVoc program. On your own, normally you can't get it because you don't have the required subjects. But if you come through and deal with the program, we have already worked out that arrangement with CFBC, where they will absorb you because you have met a portion of their requirements. So they basically have accepted the certification on AVEC as one of the requirements for their program down there.
I see here you offer the Caribbean Vocational Qualification or CVQ program as well. Is that
That
so?
is our end goal. Let me explain why I said that. And I would bring in one of the other challenges in order to respond to that. Because of the fact that there are no preset entry requirement or established entry requirement. You once you're 60, besides the age, you need to be 16 or older in order to get it. So we have folks from 16 to 40 something, or to 50 something. And it's an adult institution. We cannot deny you. You want to develop a skill, we will accept you. So folks are in class with young, and that's all right. It's an adult institution, right? I say that to say this, that when some of those folks come, folks unfortunately who can't, say it like it is, they can't read. They might not be able to do the maths, that kind of thing. So we have a challenge here in how do we bring them to a level where they can absorb what we're trying to get across. Now the CVQ curriculum, the Caribbean Vocational Qualification curriculum, is what you call competency based, right? But embedded in the whole layout is the fact that we are in a position to try and get some of those maths in your system, some of the English and all the other what you call necessary components. We try to get a lot of them in because they're embedded in the curriculum. Now the CVQ is not a fly-by-night certification. Okay? It's a process that can span a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Why I say like that, because it is based on your ability to absorb the content, right? So, and what we tried it, not the Ministry of Education through AVEC and a number of the secondary schools attempted to roll out the CVQ, see how it works, and we got some small successes on that, and then there was a lull for a number of years. AVEC, like I said, I'm now in the third phase of our vision where we are now going right back into the CVQ approach. So the curriculum that we're using, AVEC, is a CVQ curriculum, right? All of the processes that require the CVQ certification are being followed by AVEC staff right now, right? We are hopeful that in these newcomers that are in now, by the time they're ready to complete, they should have at least acquired enough to gain some sort of certification, whether full CVQ eventually, or if they only were able to deal with some units, they can get unit certification. Or that is available.
Oh, it allows, it provides that?
Yeah, because some folks would not want to stick the whole thing. So if you have fulfilled what is required for these units, we have to award unit certification. This is being worked out in conjunction. I am in discussions as we speak with one of the officials from CXC, because CXC is basically mandated to accredit AVEC in order to award the certificate, the CVQ certification. They have that responsibility, right? But we're working on all of that right now. So like I said, the end goal is the CVQ certification. Will everybody get it easy just like that? Maybe not. But we are hoping that as we work on it over time, because the beauty about the CVQ approach is that you can start AVEC program, complete a number of units, leave the program, and come back in sometime later, and complete the other units, you gain the full certification, because it's based on you completing the required units. It's not so much how long you take, is can you complete the number of units that are required. And once you have completed them to a competent standard, hey, we have to certify you.
Earlier when you were talking about keeping up with the changing times and introducing new programs, you made reference to the extent to which resources are available. So can you elaborate on the extent to which resources are an issue?
As one of the challenges.
As one of the challenges. Is it a challenge?
Let's look at from the vantage point of having the requisite equipment. You have to, for the most part, keep equipment up to date. Because if you're training people for industry, makes no sense you're using some old outdated stuff and then when they reach industry they still can't integrate. You try as far as possible to try to be current with whatever you have on hand. So equipment upgrade is always an expensive thing. So financially, the cost of fitting these things is an expensive thing. And sometimes the Ministry of Education, in reality, they just do not have the access to the funds that we require. So we have to be creative and find other ways, maybe partner with some of the employers. We do the theory part here, can we get the practical done in your shop or whatever? We have those kind of things we do. So sometimes you find, right now the general construction trainees, they're doing their work experience. Some come to construction site. They have partnered with the contractors. Can we get our guys to come over there and spend how many days within the week over there just doing the hands-on thing? And employers have acceded to that. We'll work with you. And they come back in the Friday and deal with the theory side of it. Right. So because of the fact that finance is always scarce, right? I'm not gonna say it's non-existent, it is always scarce in the sense that we can never get enough for what we want. But the Ministry of Education, for the most part, have always endeavored to ensure that at least they do what they can to make sure AVEC has some resources. To be selfish, we would always tell them it's never enough, but at least they have always put their best foot forward with that. Added to that, though, we realize that one of the ways we have utilized to try and help offset our financial requirement is to ensure that there is a registration fee collected from every trainee. Right, so AVEC, for the benefit of the public, AVEC is not a free institution. Folks have to pay in order to get in there, and those resources are also used to help offset some of the requirements. Because if I'm going to think of food preparation, the consumables, they're going to be enormous. You must have actual stuff to prepare food and that kind of thing,
and those are perishable.
Yes,
a lot of them.
Yes. So you find that we have to spend a lot on that, but it is what it is. It's the nature of the course, right? So financially, it's always a challenge, right? But we have excellent support in terms of every available opportunity the ministry utilize to see where they can find resources to help us offset that, right? So finance is that issue with respect to resources. The other thing would be, in terms of resources, the training materials. Sometimes what we want, like I said before, we try as much as possible to make sure that our training is relevant. And sometimes to get the relevant training material in terms of content and whatnot, sometimes that within itself is a challenge to get. We lobby a lot and liaise a lot with those folks on the outside, people in Jamaica, our colleagues in Jamaica, or some of the other smaller island territories, Barbados, to see what we can get, because we want to ensure that we can give our trainees what is required, because they're not available locally. So sometimes access to all of the requisite material resources becomes a challenge beyond just finance, right? So.
Well, if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Working For You program. I'm your host, Jacqueline Bryan. I'm joined by Clyde Christopher, who's the director for the Advanced Vocational Education Center, also known as AVEC. And with me also is Tracy Wattley. I knew this. Tracy Wattley, she's a counselor there at AVEC, and she has been able to share with us some of the experiences of students, which I thought is a very telling and touching thing. And we all, now that we have a better understanding, we all have to work towards supporting our students, no matter what institution they attend. Just saying. The numbers to dial, though, if you have something you'd like to contribute, a question, maybe a suggestion, you can dial 465-2555 locally. That's 465-2555. And if you're abroad, we have a line for you. That's 718-577-2918. The number again is 718-577-2918. I think at this stage we can talk about the way forward. I know there's some changes coming, and we're going to hear more about those changes, but maybe you can tell us about the changes that will particularly impact AVEC.
All right. The Ministry of Education, in its wisdom, that's how I would like to put it, has embarked upon what we call amalgamating the vocational training institution. AVEC, the population of AVEC training is small. The training population of Project Strong, small to non-existent.
How many students do you have enrolled at the moment?
Currently.
Do you know?
Probably 100 and something, 120.
Yeah,
Okay.
I always, within the region. Yeah.
And you said your staff was about 30,
The
29.
teaching staff is somewhere around
15,
15, 17
yeah.
years old. Teaching staff.
Teacher staff.
The rest is a makeup of, all the other ancillary areas.
Okay.
But what we realize is that there is a sector strategy plan being rolled out by the Ministry of Education right now, which pays a lot of attention to the delivery of Tibet in the overall scheme of things. I think the experts have realized now that traditionally not enough attention has been placed on Tibet or the delivery of skills training. So the analysis have borne out that we need to strategize now how to maybe catch up on some lost time. So the sector strategy, and when you have your other guests, they will spend some more time into that, Dr. Pemberton and Mr. Thompson.
Are you giving away my next show, Mr. Christopher?
No, definitely.
Are you?
I wanted to time in so that he makes sure that he's ready for me.
So he can't cancel.
That's
Okay.
right. But the bottom line is that what happened, our delivery of training at AVEC and National Skill Project Strong, wherever it is, the Tibet side of it, forms part of the bigger picture of the Ministry of Education. Right, and I don't want anybody to view it as separate. It is part of the overall developmental approach and enhancement approach by the Ministry of Education. But with respect to what AVEC will gain out of any development going forward, a consultant was contracted to do an analysis of the vocational institutions, AVEC, Project Strong, National Skills, and to some extent Tech Block too, to some extent, right? And to rationalize, the why we are so segmented and that kind of thing. The conclusion was we're really too small to have all of these things all over the place. So why not just pull these smaller ones together? See, a physical stand on its own, but pull the smaller ones together and create a vocational institution. Might not be called AVEC or whatever, but create one, utilizing all of the resources from the other areas. Because the thing is, AVEC offers what you call a formal full-time program. National Skills offers a non-formal type of program where they respond to the requirements of employees. If you want a training program set up, National Skills set up that for you and they run it. Project Sam would have offered an informal type of program. And the new institution hopefully is to harness all of these programs. So the new institution should be able to deliver with the three unique modes of delivery still. AVEC will still have its, institution will still have its formal full-time program for those who can. It will run the non-formal, which are some short-term programs for the wider community who wants that. And we will run the informal one for the persons who just can't deal with, the academic requirement, that kind of thing. So the institution must be in a position to respond to all of that. The training modalities must be of such that we will become responsive to whatever comes our way. So that is the thinking there. Now, for that to become a reality, the government, so the Ministry of Education, have engaged discussion with the CDB, Caribbean Development Bank, who have now provided a loan to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis to fund what you call a Tibet enhancement program. Of course, out of that, what happened, why I'm happy about that, because AVEC becomes the hub of all of those nice things, right? Because we already have the foundation laid, so AVEC will be in a position to get a few more buildings, right? Increase and maybe enhance equipment, right? Eventually increase the number of staff and that kind of thing. So ultimately, we can look. AVEC is in a win-win position because of this TVET project, and this is why, for whatever reason, we will always keep insisting to people that listen, AVEC becomes what you call a viable option now, right? Because you don't no longer see it as something where you can do better. So no, it must never be seen as that. Look at AVEC now and listen. This is an institution where I can gain something credible, and once I have acquired it, I can move out and be in a position to bargain for the kind of recognition I want. Right. So out of that project, AVEC will be enhanced significantly, or the new institution, whatever the name is called. But we over there at the vocational side of it, we will benefit significantly. It opens up the opportunities for people to gain training now, not just between 8:30 to 3:30, which is what we're following right now, but we want to open it up that training occurs straight up into the evening. Because but this project will allow us to roll that out properly.
Do you have any timelines for that? Are you aware of any of when they hope to at least begin the transition or complete the transition?
Well, the issue of the amalgamation and organizing all of that is in play already. Physical construction actually is scheduled to start in 2018. So we just about there.
You say 2018 like it's so far. That's next year.
I know exactly.
That's
so
next year.
Yeah, right. So
Project Strong has been included our population. Already.
Oh yes, that was a particularly interesting point for me because I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Project Strong, you've taken on Project Strong. It's students and faculty. Tell us about that.
We did that out of a need to be more efficient with the use of our resources. We found out that how it was operating at Project Strong, it was not an efficient use. There were actually more instructors than you had trainees, and that didn't make too much sense. So the instructions were bring them in, merge them. So the existing staff that was at Project Strong, for the most part, they were part-time. So we still maintain that part-time arrangement with them, right? But the persons who would have applied to them are now applying to AVEC, right? So for those persons, we have created what you call those Project Strong type program for them there at AVEC, so that they can still get what they want. Because, like I said, there's a reason why certain persons go to Project Strong. They might not be able to absorb all of and coming into AVEC, we don't necessarily force it on them, because we have to work at their level. The program also set up that, listen, we will go at your pace. So it's not a case where, listen, you've got to complete the syllabus by... No.
We actually sit down and have
specific... we work... There's a call coming in. We work at your pace.
Oh, we have a call, and I think we're going to welcome this call. Welcome to Working For You.
Good afternoon, Jack and Brian.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. God has been kind to me, and so I give thanks.
Let's hope it continues that way. You have a question or suggestion? Comment?
I have a question, a suggestion, and a comment.
Oh, let us have all three.
I first of all wanted to talk to the director of AVEC there and offer my sincere congratulations to some of the initiatives that he is carrying out. I'm very enthused by some of them. I'm happy to hear that there's now an arrangement in place so that people who are successful at AVEC can transfer to the CFBC program. So that's my comment. I think AVEC has come a long way and is doing a few things right. There always lack of resources to enable them to do more things right. But I guess that will come eventually. Now, my question is this. AVEC is teaching a lot of skills. It's a skills-based institute. Is that not correct?
Certainly.
Okay. And so when somebody has all these skills, we are still not affording them the opportunity to go on their own. They still have to go and look a job. And one of the difficulties that I have had over the years, since I was a youngster, with our education system, is that we teach people how to learn a lesson, pass the exams, and get a job. We are not inculcating a set of people who can go to school, get some skills, learn the lessons, and create jobs, start their own business, and so on. And I am just making my suggestion that perhaps the time has come when AVEC needs to inculcate entrepreneurship as part of their program. So not only they learn the skills, but they learn how to start a business, how to grow a business, how to run a business. And so we have many more people, because when you look around, you see what's happening in the construction industry. Belmorton has passed, Arnold Warner has passed, Mr. Libert has passed. All of the established contractors that we know are going. And we don't have a young group coming through because we're not teaching those things. And one of the difficulties is that when we have big projects, and I could give you several examples, when we have big projects, we don't have these construction companies with the capacity, the wherewithal, not even to come together to bid on a big project. Let me give you an example. You know where Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's office is, that building where National Bank used to be, Central and Church.
Yes.
When that was being built, the bids went out inviting companies, local companies, to come together to bid for the project. But it was a fairly hefty project at that time. And none of our local companies could do it. They were all, I believe, is more fear than anything else. There was fear and distrust because people were not prepared to trust one another to join together for the common good. And so it ended up being built by Covell Matthews and Higgs and Hill, two British companies who were here working on the Frigate Bay project. And I am saying that is unfortunate that even now, in 2017, we're faced with the same challenge. So I am suggesting we need to start somewhere, and I think AVEC is a good starting point. Introduce entrepreneurship, starting and growing their own business, and so on. You know, so that we could develop a cadre of people who have the skills, who have the business knowledge, and so on, and they can grow rather than work for somebody.
Okay.
One take on.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'll listen offline.
Yes, thank you for your
if there are any responses or comments.
Yes,
All right.
and if
Okay.
there's anything you still need clarification on, you can feel free to call back. So, Mr. Christopher.
Thank you.
We have another call? We have another call.
You take
So
the
you
other
can
call.
please take
Yeah,
notes.
take the other call.
Welcome to Working For You.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Two quick questions. One,
Sure.
how can I enroll at AVEC? That's one. Second question, does AVEC go to the high schools to observe or liaise with the guidance counselor for children who attend a high school and point blank is not learning anything? Does AVEC go to the high school to assist with the children who not learn anything to make the transformation to AVEC, and so best we can prepare them for the future? I'll be listening often.
Okay, thank you so much for your questions. Do we have any other calls? One more? Welcome to Working For You. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Brian.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age. And good afternoon to your panel here from AVEC.
Good
Carl
afternoon.
Brown here.
It is.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, suggestion, folks. Seeing that the students have been coming here and all these programs is offered to them, and it's very nice to hear that AVEC are also in the overseas exam and been doing very well continually. I was listening the whole program. I don't know if you all talk about that, the success that your students have been showing in the overseas exam up against all these powerful high schools and colleges. The suggestion, Seeing that then AVEC goes on vacation, the students that are doing all the different mechanics and all the different programs there, do you all give permission to them and do you all check with companies, different shops and places like those things for the students them to work during the summertime and make a little money and enhance the skill what you all are teaching them there and pick up from the outside companies and shops and so during the vacation instead of letting them be home and they still may drop because especially with the summer vacation so long, it can bring in some finance for them, enhance the skills and things. I think that will be a good thing for them. So the outside sources will see the good work that you're doing there with those students. And the other question now, after they have graduated to AVEC, I don't know if you all talk about some of the successes of the students and where they are working now and who they are working for, who have graduated from AVEC from your programs. It will be nice to know if they have some of them started their own businesses, if they are working for some of the big companies like the CDC, the hospital, and even for the government, the public works and those places there. That's my thing there.
All right. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate your call. Okay. So it's quite fine if they would have talked about something already and you have a question.
Right.
We will be happy to recap to make sure that everybody has the information, all our listeners. So have you made a note of all those things?
Well, most of them.
All those things?
So you pick up all the others, most of them. Just let me respond to somehow that voice sounds quite familiar.
Which one of them?
The first one about
Okay.
entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Right. I think Ms. Wattley mentioned it in her delivery, though, that one of the core areas of AVEC is entrepreneurship. We do have an entrepreneurship component in all of our programs. As a matter of fact, here's what happens. If you select or opt to do the automotive program, you must do the communication skills, you must do the mathematics, you must do the life skills. In this case, you must do the technical drawing, and you must do entrepreneurship. It's part of it. So every trainee at AVEC is exposed to the entrepreneurship side of it, because for the same reason that the person indicated, for the same reason we want not just to produce persons to get a job, but also to become their own boss, to become their own, manage their own business, that kind of thing. So that is important. So that is a component of our program at AVEC, and we stick with that. We reviewed it recently and we realized we've got to do more along the lines of entrepreneurship, because it's in high demand here. We really want to produce persons who can create businesses. It's part of our mandate. The issue with the internship, where we utilize the summer, that kind of thing.
That internship you spoke about before that they do in the second year, is it during the summer?
It
the
is,
summer break?
by the time the summer break comes on, their program has been completed. Because they finished their program in July. Thereabout. Summer break is after that, so the program is completed.
So
Right.
in that 2 years, you pretty much have one summer break?
No, what happens?
Second years.
And the internship is for the second year students only. Right now, we're looking at all of that as we speak to see whether we need to also incorporate it into the first year program.
Mm-hmm.
But right for the time being, it's the second year program. But it only happened close to the Easter time.
Okay.
Because the final term is for them to wrap up everything, do a final exam, and we just
Okay, yes.
send them on.
All right,
So
I understand.
during the summer break, they really is not always fun, because we graduate them in July. So we train you, graduate you,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I
that
think
kind of
I have a lot of summers. I would like to have a lot of summers
But-
in my head, but
Going forward, though, before it's what into them, going forward, we really intend to look at that whole thing because what we view for AVEC for the future is this, or that institution is that we do not operate like the schools anymore. We should be constantly training right through. So this issue of break at summer and whatnot really would be a non-fact. You don't discuss that anymore because you will have constant training right through. Right? So but we have worked along with a lot of the employers. They have given us the opportunity to send folks out. Just recently, because of the interaction with the instructor and a number of contractors, the general construction trainees are not out just a month anymore, but they're out for the
Practically going to be
yeah
the second
for
year.
the rest of the second year. They're going to be out 4 days a week and come back in the fifth day to do the theory. So
And
even that program is
evolving.
is in flux right
And
now.
then there is the in some courses I know that the trainers would people would call and ask if there's anybody at AVEC who you think could do with a little side job or that
Yes,
type of
yes,
thing, and
yeah.
they would give them the opportunity
Right.
to have it. But we are really in the that's one of the things we're going to try and improve on in terms of actually getting them some experience beyond just at AVEC during the day.
so I guess when you consider shortening your courses, it might eliminate that summer break altogether.
Yes.
Actually, one of the we were thinking that if we were able to tighten up on the program, make it more focused, shorter, we can also take in more persons because we can have more entry points, which
Right now, you only have one.
right. And in a selfish way, we get more money from people too, right? Because the more people we take in, the more registration fee you can get. Hey, right? I'm looking at
The
our
more
angle.
resources you have to use.
Well, the point is we make more money to be able to
Yes.
use those resources. So it's a win-win if we can tighten up on all of that. Right?
But it would allow for more people to have the opportunity.
Yes.
Because if you miss it once in the year, that's
Yeah,
it until the following
Mhm.
year. Yeah.
You can come back.
For the second caller who asked about how do you apply for
Right,
AVEC,
right.
you can come by the school and get an application form and speak with the counselor. That's the first entry, that's the first requirement. They will speak to the counselor and we do a little career counseling between that point in time. And then
This is prior to enrolling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we do career counseling and then we see what's a good fit, because sometimes some people come and say, yes, I want to be a mechanic, but after doing some assessment, you notice that they're really not inclined to do mechanic, but then they have the skills to do something else. So we do that before actually saying, okay, yes, you are part of AVEC. And then he said something about if AVEC go around and speak to the guidance
Yes,
counselors
if-
in the
Right,
schools.
right.
If you visit the high schools
Right.
Yes,
to assess students there who probably aren't doing too well.
Remember, we're trying to get away from that aspect. It's not about not doing too well, because anybody can learn. Everybody can learn. It's just a matter of what strategy you use. And the schools within themselves, they have their own different programs in terms of career counseling. So yes, we liaison with them in terms of how can we get persons interested in the vocational education. So, and the skills are offered to in high school. So it's just AVEC is just a continuation of what it is that they would have done at the high school level.
And that third caller spoke about your success stories, and you need to share those more.
We have a Facebook page that with their success stories, videos on it. We try as much as possible to take pictures of what is being done with the students' work. We put it up on Facebook, so they can go on like the AVEC Facebook page, and they will be kept up to date with what is current at AVEC.
And follow, maybe you can even follow some of the people who would have been successful, those very same entrepreneurs people are inquiring about, just to let them know that we do have some people who have been able to not only find work for others, but have been able to create work for themselves and others.
Without calling any names, because in certain cases you have to be careful with that. We don't call any names. I'm going to give 2 examples for the benefit of the caller. One of our first batch of graduates from AVEC is now one of the managers or general managers of an insurance company.
Is that right?
Yeah, Natico actually. Yes. And over at Christoph Harbour, the main chef, that's what they call it. The person that deals with all of the aspect of the cooking, designing the menu and whatever. Is one of our top food prep persons. Actually left AVEC, completed the program, went to Toronto to do a degree in it, right? Because AVEC provided that opportunity for.
So they were able to use the certification from AVEC to get into a school in Tortola to further.
Degree in it now, and is now heading the. And Christopher Harbour standard up there is so. Therefore, if we can produce for that, hey, right, we're doing something right. And this is what I always remind persons out there, that we might not be able to tell you, well, boy, when you compare statistic like the secondary school and 600 people pass the subject and that kind of thing. How we view our success is that the quality of the person that complete the program and how best they can integrate, that tells us that we have done something right. Might not be a lot of folks, but at least if that individual would have left and they have left being a better person, an all around better person, we did something right.
So it's not that they can go to AVEC and pass all the subjects that you offer at the very highest standard. It's about how employable are they at the end of their tenure there.
Well, I'm going to use a quick example also of what we do at AVEC. You know, in the school system, when they're selecting a valedictorian, the person who passes most subjects and that kind of thing. At AVEC at graduation time, what we do a poll. Who is the best person that can represent you all in terms of their attitude? They mean the whole world. So it can be a case somebody pass a lot of the areas, but the attitude is not the best. You cannot be the valedictorian. It is based on the best individual in terms of their attitude, how they carry themselves, how they interact with the other trainees, and what is the opinion of the instructors towards them. Those are the criteria we use to determine who speaks at that.
And then how they apply themselves to their
exactly.
work.
Right, so that's the approach we use.
That is very interesting. I think that's a very interesting approach.
Let me add though, Jacqueline, before you tie off everything, that currently we are also now taking in persons who are on the STEP program so that they can be trained and certified, because that might have been one of the deficiencies in the program before. The folks are working, but they're not necessarily trained or certified, and AVEC now has been mandated, you must be the institution to certify these individuals. So we started out with our first batch, and they're now coming through our full-time program at AVEC. And eventually, hopefully, they will gain certification which gives them something of value. I mentioned to quite a number of them just earlier this week that one of the reasons why you find that quite a number of non-nationals come and they get the jobs on the various sites and whatnot, because they got this. They have something that they can show. Our locals need to see the importance of getting some sort of certification to say that they're competent, they're qualified in this area. And that puts the employer on call that, hey, you got to respond to these people's qualification. Right? So it's no longer a case where it's okay. You finish school, you could get a job somewhere. No. What do you have to show for it? Because the high school, in essence, do not give you a certification, Yes, you pass a section and that kind of thing, but technically, you do not have the certification that is required for any employer to give you a job. Right, so that's what we're looking at.
But we're nearing the end of the program. It's about the time where we have to wrap up. I have enjoyed the conversation. I think it was really enlightening, and hopefully the next time we see Men and women in their grey and white, we will look at them differently. Yes, but in closing, what would you like to leave with our listeners?
AVEC is still open in terms of accepting applications, so you can come by. You can send us a message on Facebook if it is that you're interested. Leave your number. I will give you a call. You can pass by the school. We'll give you a tour, and we can talk and see how best we can accommodate you in getting that certification.
That was Tracy Wattley,
Yes.
Counselor at AVEC.
From my perspective, I would encourage the viewing and listening audience to see AVEC in a different light from today. Right? See it as a viable option, an institution that you can go to and leave with something of worth. Right? That's how you must view AVEC from this point forward. Right? Forget about what you might have heard, what your earlier perception and belief was. Put that aside. Right? What we're telling you is the real deal. This is what it is. Right? And here are the opportunities that you can gain from just accepting and enrolling in our program. So I encourage you, as Ms. Wattley said, we're open, and we're open for business, and we will stay open for quite a while. Right? So.
All right, that was Mr. Clyde Christopher, who's the director at the Advanced Vocational Education Center, also known as AVEC. I want to thank you both for taking the time out to come here, and you are so passionate about this thing. I think we had a really good conversation. I want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors. I look forward to hearing about all the changes. Sounds like it's going to be exciting.
We welcome an opportunity to even come back and rap with you all again. We don't mind.
So you were listening to Working For You, which is a production of the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, also known as SKNIS. And this will be made available, the recording of this session will be made available on our YouTube channel. It's going to be rebroadcast on Thursday on Freedom FM from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and again on Vaughan Radio from 10:30 to 12 p.m. respectively. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, you can listen to it again. My name is Jacqueline Bryan. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And remember, next Wednesday right here, right? Same place.
All right.
Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.